I'm Shannon Vandermark, and this is the Happily Ever After Without Children podcast. Welcome back, listeners, and welcome to any newcomers. Hey, newcomers, you've joined us for the final episode. But don't worry, after you listen to this one, you can totally go back and listen to the first 15 episodes. I hope you will. Let me preface this episode by letting you know that I have kind of a cold, so even though I've recorded this intro like 5 times due to having coughing fits in the middle of them, I might not sound like me, but trust me, it's me. Even if I sound low. This podcast is for anyone who doesn't have children and for anyone who loves someone who doesn't have children. It's for those who have struggled to conceive and for anyone who has found themselves realizing that for whatever reason, children of their own might not be in their futures. It is also for those steadfast in their decisions to never have children in the first place. The time has come to open up the taboo subjects of childlessness, infertility, and the child-free life without fear of judgment. Everyone holds a rightful place in this conversation, so I welcome any discussion that comes out of this podcast. If you like what you hear and are able to support what I'm doing, please write a review for this show on the Happily Ever After Without Children podcast page on iTunes. Welcome to episode 16, the final episode of this series. But this doesn't have to mean goodbye forever. Please do get in touch and let me know if you are in support of a second season. Don't be a passive listener. I need to hear from you. You must make your demands known. I already know that my dad wants a second season. He's spoken up. So what about you? If I get a positive response, then I'll see what I can do about putting together some more episodes. Drop me a note. You can always find my email address in the episode description. Today is Mother's Day in the UK. It comes in March here, so as an American living in the UK, I get to celebrate Mother's Day twice. Yay! The chat you're about to hear with my friend Sheila was actually recorded exactly 1 year ago. It was the first interview I recorded for the podcast, and the original intention was to put it out for Mother's Day USA last year. It took me longer than I had planned to edit and learn how to broadcast the thing, etc., so I've saved it, and the intention was always to end the series on Mother's Day UK. That's my cat. I apologize. I don't know why she wants to be involved now. What I did not anticipate was how far I would have come on my own journey doing this podcast. Listening back to this recording from a year ago, I know I thought I was totally fine at the time. I believed that I had accepted my childlessness and that I was all good. But now I can hear the anger in my voice when I start talking about the commercialism of Mother's Day and about friends who receive push presents. I actually go into a full-blown rant about push presents. And then I sneer about friends who complain about their kids and scoff about friends who don't complain about their kids. I thought I was being frank and honest, and I guess I was, but I was also pretty pissed off. I was testing out my new skin, looking after myself and speaking in a way I hadn't before, and in retrospect, I must have been feeling a little wobbly about it all. I said at the time that I was embracing the freedom of my child-free life, but I was actually still feeling pretty guilty about moving on somehow. It was as though I owed it to my previous self to remain in the pain. I knew intellectually that it was right to move on, but I wasn't nearly as self-assured as I am now. In speaking with all of the amazing guests I've had the opportunity to speak with, I've also realized that a lot of my pain of childlessness is the adolescent hurt of being left out, of being different from friends and family in a way that wasn't my choice, of letting down my family and my husband's family. Now they have to be different too. Of course, the pain of losing pregnancies is a separate grief that I will always carry alone, but the fact that my narrative doesn't match what I thought it would, what other people thought it would, is something that I have to accept, and I hope to embrace. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I'll check in with you at the break.
Hello?
5 and
Hello?
6.
Yeah.
There we are. Hi. Yeah, so it only goes yellow if it gets really loud.
Ah, right, okay.
So as long as we're both a little bit lit up, I think we're fine. I might just check it on here, even though I said I wasn't going to. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you say 1, 2, 3, 4?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep, great.
Yeah. Louder or?
Yep, no, I mean,
Okay.
you're fine. You're louder than I am. Is yours closer than mine is?
Yeah, it is.
Further up?
Yeah, yours I think needs.
Like that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Great.
Let's start this.
Let's
do this.
let's chat. Happy Mother's Day, Sheila.
Thank you, Shannon. Happy Mother's Day to you too.
Thank you. We were talking earlier about social media, and I was tempted to put something on my Facebook page, or at least on the page I started for the support group.
All right.
Just saying, on Mother's Day, we should think about the mothers who have children in their hearts, if not in their arms. That's what I wrote last year, I think.
Did you? Okay, right.
But then I was just like, I didn't feel like I wanted to go on.
See, that's funny because I wanted to do something on WhatsApp and put a little message.
Oh, yeah.
But then I stopped and thought, no, I'm not going to do it.
So why do you think you stopped yourself?
Because most of my friends on there are all mothers.
What What is that?
On the WhatsApp, on my profile.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
On your
yeah,
profile
just,
as your intro. Right.
Exactly.
And so you were hesitant to write something that would annoy other mothers, or just like make them go,
maybe they would think, oh, is that Sheila trying to be sarcastic? That she's put a message for all of us and we haven't thought about her.
Well, what kind of message were you thinking you'd put that would have gotten that reaction?
Well, that's the thing, I don't know. I was just off the cuff thinking, no, I'm going to write something, but didn't know really what to put in there. But I wanted them to feel like, okay, we need to think about Sheila as well.
So you wanted them to think that?
Yes, I did. But I did say a little prayer, though, this morning.
Oh, that's nice.
For all us women out there that don't have that luxury of enjoying Mother's Day, or, waking up to a card or flowers, or, little child coming up to us. So I was thinking about all those mums, and also the mums that have lost children through, I don't know, premature accidents, illnesses.
Oh yeah, well even parents who have lost just children,
Absolutely.
to like leukemia or child. Yeah, I mean that's a whole other.
Exactly.
But that's a whole other grief, but a much more tangible grief. So not better or worse, but in a way more acceptable and easier. Not easier, but
acceptable. I think that's
and understandable, because I think pregnancy loss is really abstract.
Absolutely.
As a loss, because you had it, but what you had was oftentimes not visible.
Indeed, yeah.
And certainly not to both of you, husband and wife, man and woman, whatever, was definitely probably more tangible to the woman.
Yeah.
So what was the prayer that you...
Just say thank you that I'm actually at this point in time where I'm actually up and out of my bed on Mother's Day. This is the first time in years.
That is so awesome.
So for me, it was just say thank you, God, that I've managed to do that today. To just put on makeup, do my hair, and feel just really good about myself and confident, and to step out of that house.
That is awesome.
So I'm so proud and thankful that I've got to this stage, because last year was a totally different story for me.
So I was going to ask what was a typical Mother's Day for you before this year?
Sure. So the norm for me is crying from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. I won't wash, I won't get up, I won't eat. It's just constantly in bed, not wanting to talk to anyone, and just feeling really sorry for myself and just not having the energy to do anything.
And would you know that was coming, or would you realize it was Mother's Day? Kind of, how soon before the actual day would you Would it become a pattern like, oh, I know it's coming and I know how I'm going to feel, and here it comes, or would it actually hit you emotionally once you realized it was Mother's Day?
Hit me straight emotionally on Mother's Day.
Right.
So I knew it would come in, and I think, no, this year I'm going to be fine, and no, and I try my best. The night before I was like, no, I can do this. I've got this planned. No, as soon as that day comes, it just cripples me emotionally and physically and mentally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because Mother's Day in March to me is not familiar, so I forget.
Of course, yeah.
And then it's not really on my radar. I mean, sometimes I'll notice it in the card shops.
Yeah.
But I don't really take it in, aside from going, shoot, I need to send something to my mom, because that if I send something today, she's not going to get it for 2 weeks because she's in the States.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I kind of think about it for my mother-in-law. She's not far away, and that only takes like a day. But it doesn't sink into me as a personal thing at all usually until the day comes. That's not true, though. Sometimes until the day comes and I'm on Facebook and then I'm like, oh my God, like even friends saying to other friends who are mothers, I think that's what really gets me, where it's like, you have the hardest but most rewarding job in the world and all of that crap. And that's what, but I think last year I did realize it. I think I told you probably that last year I don't know if it was might have even been the day of, but I realized it was Mother's Day, and my first thought was, oh my gosh, I need to take my mother-in-law out to lunch because she's got 3 sons. None of them are going to do it. Right. My husband, one of her sons, was away working.
Oh, I do remember this now, yeah.
Her other, I don't know, maybe her youngest son would have, but her oldest son is married with kids, so they would be having Mother's Day with his wife.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I was like, oh, nobody's going to be taking my mother-in-law. I should really do something. And I was kind of like, I don't really feel like doing anything. And then my next thought was, wait a second, why isn't anybody sitting at home going, I should really take Shannon out, because actually maybe Mother's Day might be hard for her. And then I thought, that's when I realized, and I had kind of a turning point about the whole grieving thing, is that nobody's going to take care of you through this as much as you can take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Because I, at that point, just said, nope, I'm going to do whatever I want today. I'm going to smoke pot.
Yep.
I'm going to eat candy and do arts and crafts. And I was really happy. And I wasn't like happy despite it being Mother's Day. I kind of just made that decision then, like, well, why can't I appreciate myself just for being, just for being myself. Absolutely. And not do what I might have done in the past, which would be kind of a bit not self-harming, but just over drinking, like buying a pack of cigarettes.
Yes.
Feeling really bad about it. I treated myself to a really nice day.
Okay, right.
Do you know, it's a kind of a subtle tweak, but it was more like, I'm just going to enjoy. I'm not going to sit here and try to fill the hole.
Right.
But it was more going like, oh, man, I just need to be a bit nicer to myself. Because
so that's where I am now.
Yeah, I was willing to be that nice and thoughtful to my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And I can't control what other people do.
No.
So if I can't force somebody to do that for me, I have to do that for me.
I agree. Yeah. And that's where I am today, thinking about me.
Yeah. But you were not there a year ago.
No. It's been a long journey, and definitely the support group has helped me, and I'll go on to that, to get to where I am today. But before we move on to that, I just want to talk about church.
Oh, yeah?
Because I'm a Christian.
Yep.
It's only in the past couple of years.
Okay.
So I've come from a Hindu, Tamil background. And
okay.
Yeah, a couple of years. In fact, after my first ectopic pregnancies, I met a Christian nurse and she helped me through it. And so since then, I was baptised.
Right. Oh, yes. Great.
But I remember going to church for Mothering Sunday. This is a good 8 years ago. And they made everyone get up, stand up, And I didn't. They said, all the mothers, can you stand up? We have presents for you and cards.
Oh my God.
And I will never forget that experience. And I was just sitting there sobbing.
Was your husband with you?
No, Junior wasn't there. And
were you on your own, or were you...
I was on my own. My friend had invited me to her church, but I just didn't expect it to be like that.
Is your friend a mother?
No, she's not. She was at the back doing the sound engineering and all
Really?
Yeah.
So you were on your own?
So I was literally on my own in this congregation, and it was the worst experience ever. I was just sobbing, and the lady who came over to hand it, she goes, no, one day you'll be a mum. This is what God has, ordained for all of you. So you need to stand up. So I had to stand up, still sobbing, and flowers given to me and a card. And then I went to another church the year after, and it was exactly the same. Yeah. So they get all the mums, to have a card. And where the church that my Junior and I got married near us, I always sit at the back. So that I'm.
So they get all the women to stand up.
Yes.
But I find that a bit thoughtless.
Exactly.
Because so what we're talking about, involuntary childlessness, infertility, pregnancy loss, are all incredibly common. So how many other women are either pretending or hiding in the back crying?
Exactly.
Have you ever brought that up with the church?
No, because I don't feel confident. But now I do feel empowered, and I am going to talk to the pastor and say, look, these are the issues for women who obviously have suffered miscarriage, ectopic pregnancies, or, the whole infertility situation. But we need to be more sensitive and,
So now we have plans today. Mother's Day.
Yes, we do.
I mean, obviously we're going to be cracking open the champagne soon to celebrate your passing your...
Absolutely.
What is it called again? The
lesson observation.
Lesson observation. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's celebrating those things and not feeling like that's really important.
Yeah.
And that is worth celebrating.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think things like that, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I'd have little victories like that and I would be like, yeah, but it's not a baby.
See, that's interesting. I was actually questioning myself about that this weekend. What would I do if I was to fall pregnant now? So I think I'm starting to maybe accept and embrace life without being a mum. And if I was to fall pregnant, I don't know now.
It's hard to say.
It is.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, I think because I'm like, I'm alive and I feel alive inside, and I'm looking forward to life with Junior. And now, if I was to fall pregnant, like having to go through 9 months, like, am I going to be able to make it?
Yeah.
Is the baby going to be okay? I don't know if I could go through that.
Oh my God.
To be honest, just the thought of it, I'll be living off my nerves, and I just feel comfortable now.
Yeah.
And I think I've accepted the situation, and that's fine. Okay, yes, there's going to be a part of me be like, I grieve for all the babies that I've lost, of course, and that will always remain a big part of me. But now I feel I can move forward.
Yeah.
And I've started to let go. And I never thought I'd say that.
No, that's amazing. And how many years have you been going through?
Oh, God, 20 years this year. So my first child would be 20 this year.
Wow.
So 1998.
That is a long slog.
Isn't it? 20 years.
Is that with Junior all the way?
No, this was with my first partner. Yeah. We were together about 8-9 years.
Wow.
And we lost 3.
Oh,
so twins God. And yeah. And then my second partner, I lost 1. And then with Junior 2.
It's not fair.
No.
But that's the lesson, I guess. It's not. There's so many moms out there that I'm like, really? Did somebody sit down and decide who was going to get the babies?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody said, well, I read somewhere, or maybe it was on like just some, I don't know, it was just a quote saying, nobody decide, like it's you're not chosen to be a parent. If they were choosing parents, do you think that they'd choose people who had broken iPhone screens? And you just think about that, and you're like, right, like if you can't even keep your phone from breaking, you really shouldn't have a baby.
I know. And for me, being a teacher, it is so difficult.
Yeah.
Seeing my students and the background that they're coming from, their parents, and it's heartbreaking.
What's heartbreaking?
To see their lifestyle, you know, with their mums. They're just not fit to be mums. And that's part of me that makes me so angry, thinking, how can you do this to this child? I mean, we're talking about neglect, basic, you know, it's just that I found extremely difficult to cope with after my losses.
So how long have you been in the career you're in, and what career are you in?
I'm a teacher, and I think this year's 21 years. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So just as long as you've been struggling to have kids, you've been a teacher.
That's right, yeah. So 97, I graduated as a teacher, and I fell pregnant within 6 months of starting my career. So yeah, 1998.
Right. And did you ever have days that you just couldn't go into work?
For me, work was my salvation. So straight after miscarriage, maybe a couple of days after, I'll be back to work. That's it. And just concentrate on my work.
See, I understand that, and I was the same, but my job has nothing to do with children. So what I'm wondering is, was that difficult? Did it feel like it was shoved in your face day after day?
No, I felt I had to be there. I felt that I was the mum to all these children. So not just as a teacher, but I felt because they're not having breakfast at home, they're not having their faces washed or brushing their teeth brushed. I need to be at school with my students because I was also a head of year.
And you're a specific kind of teacher.
Yes, I'm a languages teacher.
Which means?
So I teach French, German, and I'm also head of year, which means I'm responsible for a whole entire year group.
And these are specific children as well?
Yes. So before I was in mainstream.
You were in mainstream.
I was in mainstream, yes. So for the first 16 years.
So even those kids were coming to school not being...
Oh, yeah. I always used to... Well, I taught in very deprived areas around London.
Right.
So that's what I chose to do. I wanted to be in the poor areas and help those communities. So you're looking at the travelling community, the white working class, Muslims, the Afro-Caribbean. So all of these pockets of community and very deprived areas. And the mainstream children, exactly the same as what I do now with the autistic children, special needs, so the same sort of issues.
Wow.
So straight after the topics, the miscarriages, I felt I had to be back in school because they needed me. Right. And that, for me, that was my way of, healing, I suppose.
I mean, there could definitely be worse things to do. I was more like drinking, binging.
Oh, yeah, smoking, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
buy a pack of cigarette immediately.
Absolutely.
Like as soon as you get pregnant. Well, I guess I can't smoke or drink anymore, but who cares because at least I'm pregnant. And then as soon as you're not, first thing.
Yep, definitely.
Give me the cigarettes.
Yep. Chain
smoking.
Indeed.
We don't do that anymore though, do we?
No.
We are saintly.
We are indeed.
Yeah, sensible. Don't do anything bad.
No.
What did Mother's Day mean to you before?
Oh, it was all about my mum.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that on the bus, how Mother's Day used to be for me. And I remember getting up and thinking, right, I've got to make her tea. I'm going to do the cleaning for her and do all these different things, obviously, that you learnt at school. So that's our Mother's Day. Yeah. That's how it's always been. And do you know what's interesting? On Friday, we had our school assemblies. And for the lower functioning students, a lot of assemblies were about Mother's Day. And I was actually there. And for the first time, I was like, oh, wow. Well, I wasn't emotional. I was just like looking at the children's reaction, because obviously they're not understanding. One of them managed to say something, flowers. And so I was really happy for that child that he was able to say that rather than it being Mother's Day.
Right.
So I was looking at the students thinking, oh, they've made progress. They can save flowers.
Aww.
One of them just held a bunch of flowers and, managed to stand up and hug one of the teachers.
Aww.
So for me, that was my perspective of Mother's Day, rather than thinking, oh,
That's
it was
nice.
about the students there.
Yeah.
So I think a year ago I'll probably be crying and running out the hall and,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I think I used to, before anything happened with me with getting pregnant, I think I used to send cards to my friends who had kids.
Did you?
I think so.
Okay, all right, that's interesting.
Well, because I would always go, I'm constantly busy and I end up doing a lot of things for people
Yes.
and then not doing things for myself and then getting annoyed that nobody's doing all these things that I did.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
I'm very, very similar.
Yeah. Because really, it was that realization last year, where are all of my cards?
Yeah.
No, because we're just all trying to just make it.
Yeah.
And it's nice when you can do something for somebody else, but
It
you
is,
need
but
to adjust your own face mask before assisting others.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what I've realised.
Yeah. I'm going to take a quick break here to talk about a Netflix series that I successfully binge watched while I was knitting my sister a sock. A sock, because I had knit the other one last year, and since she was coming to visit, it was crunch time. Anyway, I was watching the Ricky Gervais penned and directed series Afterlife. Ricky Gervais has not in any way endorsed this podcast, by the way, although he totally should, as he famously doesn't have children. If you haven't seen Afterlife, I so highly recommend it. And the following is not a spoiler alert, as you realize almost immediately that the main character, Tony, played by Gervais, has lost his wife, who he loved dearly. Throughout the series, it's as though he's speaking his grief out loud. He says things like, "I'd rather be nowhere with her than somewhere without her," and "A good day is when I don't go around wanting to shoot random strangers in the face and then turn the gun on myself." Still packed with moments of laughter, Afterlife is an honest and tender account of grief and how sometimes it can feel as though the whole world is against you and you are utterly alone. I could so relate to that, and I bet that you can too. Grief feels private and solitary and isolating. How can anyone possibly understand as they go about their lives and I'm suffering? It's not fair. I'm drowning. So much of our sadness, anger, and resentment comes from neglecting our own needs and expecting more out of the world and out of the people we love than we are willing to give to ourselves. But how can you expect to find joy and love and care when you're treating your own self like a pile of garbage? It's not selfish to look after yourself, especially when you're grieving. And on a day like Mother's Day, if you're still grieving over the loss of that chapter in your life story, don't be surprised that going on social media might feel like a slap in the face. So just avoid it. And maybe today is not the day for a meal out in a family restaurant. Unless you embrace it like my friends and I have. Mother's Day is like a birthday we all share, and we use the day as an occasion for us to get together and feel comfortable and celebrated. There aren't any rules as to how we spend the day, but for us, it has become a day we actually look forward to now. And we could all do with one more excuse for some Prosecco day drinking, right? Before I get on to the second part, I would like to ask you to share this podcast with anyone who might be struggling to embrace the child-free life. Or it could be that you'd like your parents or spouse or best friend or sister to know how you feel. Don't be shy. Share this episode. It's so easy. Go to whatever app you're using to listen to this and find the share option. I know that on iTunes you can access the share option by tapping the 3 little dots on the bottom right of the episode description. On the Spotify app, you can find the share option if you tap the 3 dots in the description section as well. If you're listening via a different app and you can't figure it out, drop me a message at reachhappilyeverafter@gmail.com, and I will do the research and tell you how you can share it. It would be my absolute pleasure. I hope you enjoy this part, and I'll check in with you on the other side. The thing about holidays is that it's, well, we could go on and talk about expectations these days and commercial, but it's about making money.
Yes.
And it's not about society really wanting to thank mothers.
Exactly.
or be grateful and have like a really nice Christmas or celebrate spring. It's all commercial.
Of course, yeah.
So we have to remember that. But because it's so commercial and because it's part of the conversation, because advertisers want you to celebrate and spend more money, it's out there on the radio, it's on TV, like more than it ever was before.
Exactly,
and I've noticed it since I've moved over here. When I moved over here, you'd never see happy Halloween cards or Halloween wreaths.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's all become just like it is in America, really commercial. So I just wanted to preface what I was about to say by saying I know it's all commercial, and I know that it's all it's not just the DJs on the radio station who really give a shit about the mothers of the world. I mean, maybe some of them do.
Yeah.
But I heard they've been talking about it all weekend because today's Sunday and yesterday was Saturday. I had the radio on all day yesterday, and they're tomorrow's Mother's Day, which again they never used to say stuff like that before, and it's like, or maybe we didn't notice it, but in any case, it feels like holidays are much more of the media. It's just brought up in every kind of media now, and it's mostly spurred on by advertisers. But in any case, they're talking about it more. And what I thought yesterday was, isn't the baby enough? Do you also need a holiday? Like, you got the child.
Yeah.
Anyway, the whole point about that is a lot of women get push presents. That's what they call them in the States.
Oh.
For pushing out a baby.
Really?
And I felt the same way. Oh, so the baby's not enough? You get most of my friends in the States get a diamond. Everybody does it. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people I know.
Okay.
And I feel the same way about that as I do about Mother's Day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you imagine that mothers are like a lot of mothers complain, like almost nonstop about being a mother. And they don't friends that I have don't do it around me so much.
Oh, mine do.
see, I can take it one of two ways. Depending on my mood, I might be like, well, you should be really grateful that you have that complaint. Some people don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
I can feel like that sometimes.
See, do you actually voice that and say that?
Yeah, I have. I've said that to my brother-in-law before.
Have you? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
He was like, "Oh, you don't know how hard it is," and I was like, "No, you know what? I don't know, but I would give anything to know how hard it is." Did you ever think about that? And he was like, "Oh, okay, sorry." I will say it to some people, depending on my mood, because sometimes it just hits me at a time when I'm like, "You're so insensitive.
Yeah.
It's all about you, isn't it?" And they're not doing it to be insensitive to me. They're just voicing. But then I should just be able to voice it. Like, you're really annoyed about whatever. Well, I'm really annoyed that I don't have that.
Yeah.
But increasingly, I find it more annoying when friends just talk about how amazing it is.
See, I haven't had that. Mine have always been negative. Oh, I haven't had a good night's sleep, and she's a brat, and these brats are da-da-da.
I think it fluctuates, but sometimes I do think sometimes they're changing what they're saying, trying to cater to you a little bit, because I feel like when they're complaining a lot, they're trying to be like, well, just be glad you don't. Oh, you should be so lucky. Like it's a pain in the ass, and I wish I could return them sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, I guess, yeah. But usually when I hear that, I'm like, you don't really think that, though, do you? But when they talk about how amazing it is, then I go, it'd be all right if you said it was terrible. I'd kind of, because I have one friend who's like, well, you don't want me to talk about how terrible it is because I'll seem ungrateful, and that seems really insensitive. Like, yeah, but it's better than you going on about how amazing it is all the time. That's worse. It depends on the mood.
Yeah.
It's a no-win situation. If you get cold, it's kicking on, but there's a blanket right behind your head if you want to put it over your feet.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, it's right behind you.
Feet. Oh, this one? No?
Yeah,
right,
there you go. Shearling.
Oh, nice.
Get cozy.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was a little bit warm yesterday.
It was, yeah. I don't think we had the heating on yesterday. Oh, yeah. That's lovely.
Yeah, cozy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, that whole thing of celebrating mothers and getting a gift when you have the baby, I find all but weird.
See, I wonder if that, my friends have never actually discussed that about getting a present.
Is it a cultural thing,
so maybe it is, yeah.
I was really surprised about my British friend doing it. All my American friends do it.
Right.
But, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to ask Vanna now.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she'd tell me, but I think now she would.
Would you have noticed if she got a new piece of jewelry right around the time?
Probably not.
But then sometimes they don't get it until like the first Mother's Day or something.
Right, okay.
But I suppose it's like, it is really hard and painful and they deserve a present. They get the baby, right?
Yes. That's enough.
Shouldn't it be? But then people just take, but that's the thing, is gratitude.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, far and away the best cure for any of my grief was gratitude.
Okay.
Because you can't physically, it's impossible to be sad and grateful at the same time.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start thinking about all the things you have.
Yeah, of course.
Then you, and I think it's okay to feel sorry for yourself. But I don't enjoy feeling bad.
No, I just felt that I couldn't get out. I was crippled by it, this grief.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to deal with it and how to get out of it.
Yeah.
I just felt I was just stuck to that bed and that was it. And could not get out of it. There's you, a complete opposite.
No, but not. But I still have busy. I sent you that message, that show I was watching.
Yes.
About God. So there'll be a line that comes on like that, and I will completely be sobbing hysterically.
Yeah.
So the line was something like, if there is a God, how can you possibly think that he's good if he can put,
it's on my phone.
Look at a man with a baby in his arms and a dead baby in his arms. Like, how is there a God and how is that God good? Like, and then there was another line in another TV show where, like a doctor was talking to a dad who just lost a baby and was like, if you can take this, the worst thing that could possibly happen, and make something beautiful out of it, then you can do anything. And it's lines like that where I'm like, it is the worst thing that could ever happen. And you just stop it for a second and you're like, let me at least remember that is the is the worst thing that could happen to a parent is losing a child. And if the one thing you can't do is keep your baby alive several times over several years, that's going to, and in your defense, 20 years of this shit.
I know.
I start, like, first miscarriage was in 2010, and I was pretty much done 6 years later.
Right.
So that's
okay.
it's like a third of how long is you. So you saying that I sprang back really quick. That was like less than a third of the time you were.
Yeah, but still,
in it.
Shannon, that's a long time.
It's a long. It is.
Yeah.
It is. But I think, yeah, I couldn't. I just got so bitter by the whole process. Like, I just felt like everyone was trying to take my money. Nobody was telling me the truth. And it was just so ugly. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't deal with this disappointment and the hope and the making, the flash forwarding that I keep doing.
I know, yeah.
And then the painfulness of when those milestones come that I was planning for that aren't the way that I pictured, and the crushing disappointment of the reality. I couldn't do it anymore.
I know.
And it was also, I just didn't like the person I was becoming.
Oh, I know.
I love kids.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up babysitting. My brother's 9 years younger than me. He's my little baby.
Yep.
I have always been around kids, cousins, everything.
Yeah, me too.
And I started withdrawing from being social in any situation where there were going to be babies or kids, because I was jealous, and it just represented what I didn't have.
Yeah.
It was an event that I thought I would have my own kids at. And it was just reminding me what we lost.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So and Robin, it was, I think it is easier for them but it's not easier in many ways. Like, Robin still feels like when we go to some of these things where he sees men with their kids, he's like, yeah, it hurts that I'm not a dad.
Is it right? Okay.
So he still has that.
Yeah. I don't think that will ever go.
No. But it's not enough. It's not so painful that he's going, the only antidote is to have a baby.
Yeah.
Whereas I was feeling that for a long time. Like, the only way I can make this go away
is have the baby.
Is have a baby. And anybody I've talked to who has had problems has said it is the only thing that makes it go away.
Yep.
But what I've found is having it there is not debilitating anymore.
Yeah.
And it makes me more empathetic to other people who go through it. And there's a lot of them.
Which I didn't realise.
Yeah.
I just felt so alone
and
isolated.
Yeah.
When it all first happened.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just got more fed up with, I just felt people walking on eggshells around me and just canceling things, which I'll still maybe do. But it's not painful to be around kids anymore. Except for, babies are still tricky sometimes.
Okay. See, now that's interesting because one of my best friends had a baby, her second one. And about 2-3 weeks ago, I had this sudden urge that I wanted to go there. I thought, I can do this. I was on a course nearby.
Right.
Literally called her up. I said, right, what are you doing at your home? I'd like to come over. And it's the first time that I'd obviously been there to the house. And I was glued to the baby. I just had her the whole evening. I didn't want to go home.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I thought, okay, so I think now this is my healing. That I'm
really
able
good.
to come to the house, hold the baby, spend time with her. I mean, it's gorgeous. I'll show you the photos later. Stunning.
Yeah.
And I just felt, I just wanted to hold that baby.
It is like spending time with a baby is really meditative.
Yeah. It is, yeah. But a couple of months ago, there's no way.
Yeah.
But I think, as you said earlier on, it depends on your mood and where you are on your journey.
Yeah. And it's not the journey is not a timeline that moves forward. It moves backwards, sideways, branches off.
And that's what's important to know.
Yeah. And that's what's important to not beat yourself up about.
Exactly. because I was so frustrated and I hated myself. Come on, I need to get out of this grief. I've got to move on. I've got to push forward.
Yeah.
Stop looking back. Stop looking at the different milestones. Oh, you know, today's the baby's birthday. Oh, you know, for all of them.
I never retained, like,
Really?
in talking to you, I kind of remember
Yeah.
that, like, I knew that if I think too much about the Mateo thing, I'll get really upset, because they would have been like cousin twins.
Yes.
What are those called? Is there a thing? Like if you're cousins and you're born they literally had due dates within days of each other. Yeah. My sister and I are super close, and I was like, oh, we're gonna go through this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like the fast forwarding I did with that both of us did.
Bet. Yeah.
Ugh, I can't even. It's not even worth thinking about.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so aside from that one, I don't really remember. Yeah, I didn't. It was because to me, it was the due date was so far in the future. I mean, every day felt like an eternity when I was pregnant. Like, I just wanted to make it to 14, 13 weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
And every day, like, it just seemed to take so long.
I'm just trying to think how it was. I remember, because at that time when I was pregnant, we were having the extension done.
Yeah.
We were getting married. So I had all of this to think about, plus the pregnancy.
Right.
Then I remember calling up the bridal shop saying, oh my God, I'm pregnant. By the time we get married, I'm going to be 6-7 months. What am I going to do with the dress? They said, don't worry, come in. Found a maternity dress, did all the exchange.
Right.
So it was just...
So then what happened? Did you then get a different dress?
Then my sister called them and said, look, she's lost the baby. Can we go back to the original dress?
Oh,
so I had to go through all of that.
Oh, my
Junior
God.
had rung up the travel agent saying, look, she's going to be 6 months pregnant because we'd arranged to go to Mauritius.
Yeah.
Can we travel? So he arranged all of that. Then obviously he had to make the phone call, say, no, lost the baby. And it was all of these things. I was like, oh, my goodness.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that flash forwarding.
Yeah.
Which everybody does. Everybody does it. Yeah, this podcast I was listening to was about how death is more of a culture thing with a scientific slant than a scientific. It's a cultural experience with a scientific influence. But the way our current society is looking at it is a scientific experience with a cultural influence.
Right.
And that's not necessarily healthy. It's more healthy for the grieving process to actually spend some time with the body, which to us seems really weird. But you can see sometimes with these mothers. And so this woman was saying how she gave birth, and people came over and they had drinks and they were like, can I hold him? And she was like, so it felt like, you know, because we were like, we're bringing the baby home, everybody's gonna come and hold him. And then when the baby died, and she couldn't even bring herself to say that, I don't think, but she was like, everyone still held him, and you know, he looks like you, and we still got that experience. But she was like, at one point, everybody had left and a new batch of people hadn't come in yet, and my husband was in the toilet or something, and she's like, and I just wanted to make him warm, I just wanted to hold him. And she wrapped him up in all these blankets and warmed him up, but then immediately like it started going like really horribly bad, and the husband's like, give him to me, let's just get him cold again, put him by the fan, like. But the reason why that podcast lost me is because then she's like, so now I work with like grieving parents and stillbirth and miscarriage and oh, and who's this? Oh, but these are my 2 kids that I have now. And I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
No.
Can you just not have kids and it be a happy ending? And then it lost me, and it kind of pissed me off to the whole thing.
Yeah.
It embittered the experience I had just shared with her.
Yeah,
and so
I'm the same.
So I think where I'm all for hopefulness and whatever you want, I hope you get it. I just want to let people know that there is a such thing as a happy ending to the struggle of not having kids.
Yeah.
That doesn't involve getting a kid. Like you probably will, but you might not. and you might make that decision for your own sanity, and you might end up happier than you would.
Exactly. And that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's more than okay. And I don't know that all of these people who go on this journey where the only positive outcome is a child end up any happier than we do. I mean, you're just in charge of your own happiness, I guess.
Yes. And I think I've come to realise that. Even I used to think, oh, Junior, needs to make me happy and da-da-da. But no, it's us.
Completely. It is way too much pressure. Can you imagine if Junior said to you, you're responsible for my happiness?
I know. I'll be like, oh, shit.
I am going to fail.
Yes. That's right, yeah.
There's no way. Because you have to look after yourself.
Yeah.
And fight for your own right to be happy.
Yeah. And that's where I think I am now on this journey.
So happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
But I mean, I think like, so now we're meeting up with our friend Sylviane.
Yes.
And we're going to go take a nice walk.
Really looking forward to that.
We might have some champagne before we walk.
Yeah, it'd be rude not to.
It would be rude not to. What time is it? Oh, we're going to need to do that soon.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think, it's nice to reserve Mothering Sunday for our mothers.
Yeah.
Because actually, we are so fortunate that we still have them. But we still have them. And there are people who find, that's the other thing, is there are people, if you go on Facebook, if you bring up Mother's Day on Facebook to somebody who's lost their mother, that's incredibly painful.
Yeah.
So we have our mothers.
We do.
So we can be grateful for them on Mother's Day.
Yep.
And just focus on that. Really?
Yeah. My mum's actually on her way back from Italy.
Good for her.
Oh, yes. And she's been calling me every day. Pissed as a fart.
Who'd she go with?
With all her cousins. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing her.
When are you going to see her?
Probably tomorrow. I'll be too drunk to go and see her today. So she knows
if all goes according to plan, we'll be drunk. But drunk in a good, we're having fun, a nice day out. And I hope that this is the beginning of an annual tradition, really.
Oh, yes.
Because it's really nice.
I think we're going to make this bigger and better every year now.
Yeah. Because to go and have fun and not to get together and drown our sorrows.
Exactly.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But I don't feel sad. I feel more excited about just one more day that I get to celebrate.
Yes.
And not being excluded from a day of having fun.
Exactly.
Because that's, I think, what it felt like, where you only get to enjoy this day if you had a successful pregnancy.
That's right. Yeah.
And maybe some people feel like that, but I don't feel like that anymore.
No. As I said earlier on, I feel liberated and just...
Yeah.
And calm and... Yeah, these experiences have happened and now it's just made me a stronger person.
Yeah.
And yet, of course, I'll always grieve for them, but I feel now it's my time. And, yeah.
Yeah.
To look forward.
Should we wrap it up?
I think so, yes.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming and sitting on my couch.
With my lovely blanket.
With your warm, cozy blanket.
Indeed.
Sorry, it's so cold in here. We are really stingy with the heat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Gina's terrible.
It's also that... I guess I'll just stop this now. Yes. It's also that... Bye-bye.
Bye. Until episode 2.
Until next time. Thank you for listening. Please join the Happily Ever After community on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter if you search Happily Ever After Podcast. Another way to help is to become a patron. Go to the Happily Ever After Without Children page on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Happily Ever After Podcast to make a monthly contribution so that I can remain an independent producer and so that you can get exclusive perks. And finally, on this final episode, I want to wish all of the childless mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. And maybe today, more than the rest of the days, you might need to hear the same words that I need to hear today. You're not alone. There's more than one path for you. You did nothing wrong. It's not your fault. You're not being punished. You would have made an amazing mother. You would have made an amazing mother. This has been an Applied Reality production. If you like the show, please help me promote it in any way you can. You can also write a quick review in iTunes. Please do that if you can. This is your host, Shannon Vandermark, and I thank you for listening.